Hello, every pony, and welcome back to Fandom Fridays, where we proceed to check out all the fanfics that are not pony related. Why? Because apparently I'm a screeching, yelling, horrible person who riffs on every single fanfic, who only reads fanfics to mock them and riff on them, and it does nothing but riffing and mocking said fanfics. So, here's me praising a fanfic, talking in a very calm tone of voice, talking about how much I love a fanfic, and not doing any riffing at all. You know, you gotta ask yourselves, what are some of the guys who come on here to, like, Maikin or Himochan or recently Al Kane, what are they going to do when I just stop doing the Maikin stuff next week and just start reading a bunch of random, really good fanfics in a boring scenario and just doing the voices and not doing much yelling or riffing. I mean, yeah, I think that's gonna get bored by what's going to happen and just walk away going, "It was better when he was sucking, in my opinion." Yeah, he could. Why wasn't he riffing? He should have been doing that. And I'm just gonna continue reading stuff like the Immortal Game and things like that. Who knows? Sadly, it's going to be quiet down there in the comment section from now on. I know. Um, oh well, let's make things a little bit happier. Alright. Sonic Fic. If there's one couple that I get annoyed by with anything in the Sonic fandom, it's of course Son Amy. You've already heard my comments about it. She's too young, Amy is annoying, she's the devil spawn, etc., etc. So, I gotta think, is there any fanfic featuring Sonic and Amy that, well, it doesn't have to be a Sonic Amy, where I can actually like her a little? To ask, I actually went to fellow fan of the Sonic franchise and previous highlight on this show, Ed Harmonic. As we, so, stay by as we here at the Terryberry Memorial Library are proud to present Forever Mourning by Ed Harmonic. Yes, the creator of that one awesome Sonic crossover that we did a few years ago. Forever Mourning by Ed Harmonic. Oh, I so do love it when we have a screen name that actually works. There he was. There the sleeping, handsome blue hedgehog was, using the grass as a mattress and a tree for a pillow. His legs were slung over each other and his hands were behind his spines, clutching a gray Chaos Emerald protectively. Amy's first instinct, upon sighting Sonic, was to screech out his name and hug him. To your presto, recalling that he just fought off another of Eggman's crazy contraptions and needed a well-deserved rest. Smiling, the pink hedgehog looked down dreamily. "Oh, Sonic, you look so cute sleeping here. I'm gonna let you nap by yourself." With that, she lay down beside him, nuzzled her head in the crook of his arm and sighed contentedly. But as he napped, instead of lying in the shade of a tree, they were relaxing on a blanket on the sunside of the beach. Amy let herself wonder about a few things, such as why Sonic tended to avoid her unless absolutely necessary. Did he not care about her feelings? Was he scared of settling down and starting a family someday? Was settling in the world the only responsibility he wanted? These thoughts saddened and frustrated her. Eventually, however, the warmth of the day lulled Amy to sleep as well. Yet just before her eyelids fully closed, the Chaos Emerald seemed to grow a little bit brighter. Amy blinked. What had just happened? One minute she was lying down next to her hero, the next she was standing in an unrecognizable room. Looking around, she saw wallpaper playing green hills, a dresser with various clothes sticking out, an open toy chest with cars and dinosaurs inside, and a lump of the size of a child hidden underneath some sheets and blankets in bed. "Oh!" stated Amy in surprise when she heard the small snore coming from the bed and backed down slightly. How in the world did she manage to get into a kid's bedroom? Did she somehow use chaos control with that chaos emerald? Before she could ask herself any more questions, the door opened out of the corner of her eye. Amy turned her head and was stunned speechless, for the person who stood in the doorway looked quite a bit like herself. Female hedgehog, pink fur, green eyes. The differences were that this stranger looked a little bit older. Her fur and eye colors were a bit off, and she was wearing a massive dress and had no accessories in her longer hair like quills. Just as Amy realized that this lookalike didn't seem to be aware of her presence, her smile wandered, and the strange hedgehog walked right through her. Amy blinked thrice, then whirled around in time to see the other hedgehog gently shake the sleepy form. "Wake up, Sonny Nicholas." A small head emerged from beneath the covers, and Amy gasped. While there were a few subtle yet important differences between her and the older hedgehog, the child who had been sleeping, except for being much younger, looked exactly like Sonic. The male blue hedgehog yawned carnivorously and opened his green eyes, looking straight up at the lookalike with a content smile. "Good morning, Judith." "Good morning, Sonny Nicholas." Brushing some loose strands of fur out of his face with a gentle caress, Judith then chuckled. "What does my little brother want for breakfast?" "Little brother?" Amy roused eyes. She did seem to be a bit young to have a kid that old. Sonny Nicholas sat up, revealing yellow and red striped pajamas under the covers. His brow furrowed cutely as he thought long and hard about the important question that he had been asked. "Pinkies and apple teats." Judith grinned impatiently and wagged a finger. "What's the magic word?" Blushing slightly, Sonny Nicholas muttered, "Please." "I didn't hear you." "Please, please," Sonny Nicholas said loudly. "There you go." She poked his nose gently, causing him to giggle, and stood up in satisfaction and walked out. The kid got up, began taking his pajamas off. Not wanting to intrude on his privacy, however invisible she was, Amy followed Judith in wonder. Out in the hallway, Amy noticed photographs on the walls and stopped to look them over. In most of them, Judith was at various stages of her life. Sonny Nicholas was also in some of them. Sometimes as a baby, sometimes as a toddler, and sometimes at the age he was at the moment. But only in the ones in which Judith was younger, and Johnny Nicholas was an infant, could two similar adults be found. Before she could ponder this further, Amy was startled by the loud clatter of dishes coming from the direction Judith went. She resumed walking down the hallway. Emerging into a small yet homey kitchen, Amy saw Judith at the stove, already flipping pancakes. Just then, Sonny Nicholas, now wearing an orange t-shirt, white socks, and sneakers, came running into the room and plumped himself onto a chair at the table, his draught causing the curtains and tablecloth to flutter a little. Judith made a disapproving sound and turned around. "What have I said about running in the house?" Murmured the child, looking so adorable while deep in thought that Amy wanted to squeeze him. "Don't do it or you'll probably knock over and break valuable stuff." "That's right." Sarah set down a pair of plates of pancakes, and with 2 places on the table went to the fridge. "What's valuable, Judith?" asked Sonny Nicholas as he poured liberal amounts of maple syrup onto his food, much to Amy's amusement. His big sister looked vaguely surprised as he cut the juice carton from the fridge. "Well, valuable means—" Judith paused as he appeared to search for words that a young kid would be able to comprehend. "It means something that there's only one or very few of the best things in the world." The young hedgehog seemed to think about this for a moment. "Like you?" Amy and Judith both guffawed, while spilling apple juice as he poured the 2 glasses on the table. "Yes, I guess I am. And so are you, my little brother." She picked up Sonny Nicholas and turned him upside down and proceeded to tickle him into submission. The laughter was so contagious that Amy ended up feeling happy, as the siblings even attempted to join in the tickling, even as material mystified she still was. Eventually, the hunger got the better of them, and siblings sat down to their modest but filling breakfast, talking all the while. Amy listened to their conversation with interest. "After breakfast, can we please go to the park, Judith?" The big sister sipped from her glass and smiled. "Yes, Sonny Nicholas, but remember what I said about the slides." His adorably thoughtful expression appeared again, though it was soon replaced by a cheeky grin. "Don't use your feet, use your butt." Both Judith and Amy laughed. No, it's slider for sliding, not grinding, you silly boy.
I'm also going to make a giant sandcastle in the box for you, Judith,
stated the boy, spreading his arms apart for emphasis.
and you can live in it and be a queen.
And what if it rains?
I'll make a giant umbrella, too.
Grinning, Judith took another bite of her pancake and casually glanced outside the window. Her eyes widened, mouth dropped open in surprise. To Amy's surprise, she hurriedly grabbed Sonny Nicholas and settled him inside the cupboard for underneath the sink, shutting with protest with a hiss. Shh, he's coming. That was all that was needed to say to calm the child down. Securely, she put Sonny Nicholas's dishes in the sink and commenced washing away the evidence that indicated he'd been regularly eaten off of. Somebody suddenly hit the door loudly, which made Amy jump. Wham! Wham!
Come on, Judith, sleep babe. Open up. I know you're in there.
A final bang and the door swung open violently, revealing who had been kicking it down. A smirking, handsome, light blue male hedgehog who was dressed in black leather from head to toe and had tattoos sporting coarse logos all over his arms and legs. Judith calmly finished wiping Sonny Nicholas's plate and turned around, frowning. What are you doing here, Harley? The smirk widened.
What do you think, Judith? I've come to see if you're ready to get back with me again.
Amy found herself gasping as he revealed, from behind his back, a stunning bouquet of flowers of every color imaginable. Amy thought they were beautiful. Judith, on the other hand, looked less than impressed. I know a certain grave those will look good on. Harley flinched as he walked in.
Ouch! So you heard about that, huh? That was an accident, I swear.
Judith settled sideways, keeping the counter to her back. If it was just an accident, then why don't you tell the police instead of avoiding them and leaving them to figure out who did it? She reported bitterly. Needless to say, Amy was quite alarmed and a little afraid. Sighing, Harley shook his head.
Now, you know I can't do that, Judith. These flowers are the latest things I've stolen. Come on, let's take a ride on the wild side, just like old times.
Judith discreetly moved her hands behind her back. When Amy saw them reach for a telephone and dial something, his words blocking out the beats. I can't. Sonny Nicholas will be back any minute now, and I can't let him come home to an empty house. The light blue hedgehog looked skyward in resignation and leaned against the table.
Jeez, it's always Sonny Nicholas that, and Sonny Nicholas that. Did I ever tell you how weird it is you call him by his first and middle name? And how many times do I have to tell you, babe? There's this thing called an orphanage. You permanently put bratty kids in it, so you're free to do whatever you want.
Amy frowned. She was not liking this guy's disposition. How many times do I have to tell you? Yelled Judith. I promised my parents I would take care of my brother if anything were to happen to him, and I intend to uphold that promise.
Jeez, keeping some dead folks' promise? He rolled his eyes again. If people in real life did that,
Judith interrupted. If helping others is what real life is like, I'll take it over a false life any day. You see, it's because of your attitude I broke up with you. I thought I could change you back to the sweet, caring boy you used to be when we were little, but I was wrong. I might have been willing to give you another chance if you hadn't did what you'd done that night, but you did. Because of that, someone's dead. Shrugging, Harley tossed the bouquet into a nearby garbage can.
You have no idea how much fun you've been missing out on. Come here, you.
With that, he grabbed Judith and proceeded to smother her with smooches, much to Amy's disbelief, and despite his ex-girlfriend's protest. No, let go of me, Harley! At that moment, Sonny Nicholas leapt out from his hiding place and shoved Harley away from his sibling, shouting, You leave my sister alone, you big bully! Harley stumbled back in shock and tripped over a chair, falling onto his bomb of hard linoleum with a cry of pain. Amy couldn't help but grin. Harley stared defiantly at the glaring kid for a few minutes. Then his surprise turned to rage as he stood up, drawing a net from his pants pocket, causing Amy's eyes to widen in terror.
You little brat, I'll show you.
He lunged at the small hedgehog. No! Instinctively, Amy ran in front of Sonny Nicholas, arms spread apart. Thus, the knife split through Amy's chest. It took a second or two for Amy to realize she was not hurt. Looking down, she saw Harley's wrist apparently stuck in her body. Feeling a mixture of dread and revulsion, she turned around. There was Judith, with so strong a look of shock and pain on her face. It brought tears to Amy's eyes, her hands clutching a little part of the knife that was not embedded in her abdomen. As in slow motion, she collapsed first on her knees, then onto her side, lying motionless on the floor. For a moment, all Harley could do was stand there, with an expression of horror planted on his face. Then he slowly turned to look at Sonny Nicholas, who was shaking his sister and calling her name wordly. Glared fiercely at him and yelled,
"This is all your fault, you freak! If you hadn't been born, your sister and I would have been together with no worries, and this wouldn't have happened!"
Amy couldn't have believed what she was witnessing. This manipulative, self-absorbed jerk of a psychopath just murdered someone, albeit the wrong person, and had the gall to blame somebody else. Feeling enraged, she summoned her hammer and tried to smash him to bits, but to no avail as her weapon went right through him. Then she noticed Sonny Nicholas's tear-stained face staring at Harley, and her outrage exasperated instantly, leaving grief in its place. She knelt down and attempted to hug him, yelling, "No, Sonic! No, Sonny Nicholas!" To her astonishment, someone else had said those words at the same time. Judith was still alive. She was clutching the surprised Sonny Nicholas's arm, was staring at him lovingly, sorrowfully. "Don't listen to him. This is not your fault. He was the one who stabbed me, not you. I love you, my little brother." Reaching down, she undid from her left ankle a silvery chain's anklet with a small locket that attached that Amy hadn't noticed before, and pressed it into the child's hands. Then, with her remaining strength, she pulled herself up to little Sonny Nicholas's ear and whispered just one word, "Run!" Her eyes then closed as she let go of Sonny Nicholas's arm, falling back onto the floor. For what seemed like an eternity, everyone was too stunned to speak. Then Sonny Nicholas started sniffling as he clasped the anklets around his right ankle, pulling his sock up to cover it. Then he stood up with a whimper, staring forlornly with tear-filled eyes at his sister's body. Harley made a motion to walk towards him.
"Now wait a—"
Wailing, the little hedgehog bowled Harley over as he ran out the door in a blur. The murderer moaned and lifted his head up, then swore as nearby silence blared for a few seconds. The whole scene appeared to white out as a voice over a megaphone demanded that Harley come out and put his hands up. Amy gasped and opened her eyes. Turning her head slightly, she saw Sonic still sleeping beside her. He seemed to be squirming and grimacing and mumbling incoherently. Slowly sitting up, she turned her gaze towards her sneakers, bent down and tugged the sock down. There was the anklet. So it wasn't just a nightmare, she thought. It was a memory Sonic had passed on to her, probably thanks to the Chaos Emerald. Amy took hold of the detached locket and carefully opened it. Inside was a picture of baby Sonic. Judith was a kid, and the two adults Amy had seen earlier in the photos on the wall could only be their parents. All of them were smiling, and the mother and father were gathered around Judith, cradling Sonic. Amy closed the locket and slid the sock over the anklet again, gazed at Sonic in a whole new light. Was he just witnessed? Could that be the reason Sonic wanted to avoid her? Was he reminded of his dear sister every time he saw Amy, heard Amy? Did he think it was almost disturbing to fall in love with someone who was so much like his older sibling? Was his perception of love forever warped by what he'd seen occur between Judith and Harley? Was he afraid that being close to her would only hurt her, just like what he'd seen happen to his sister? Sonic stopped stirring. His eyes opened up and enlarged as he caught sight of Amy. He abruptly stood up. Before he could run off, she said in a voice thick with emotions, "I'm so sorry about Judith." The end. There. You see? It's easy to make a fanfic featuring Sonic and Amy that I enjoy. All you gotta do is put in a female OC, make sure that the emotions are relatable, and make sure that the characters are believable. Is that so hard? Also, sometimes it pays to read a fanfic from an author you trust, and considering the fact that this woman also wrote another personal favorite Sonic fanfic of mine, you know, the one where all the Sonic most various generations showed up and teamed up, yeah, I kinda figured this one was gonna be good too. And it was. A lot of things were interesting here, and plus stuff that I don't see much in Sonic fanfics, especially when they pull off the Son Amy. Most of the time in the Son Amy, they'll try to excuse Sonic just running away from Amy as him being scared or nervous. And then when he breaks up Amy and starts bashing her, he suddenly has a realization going, oh my god, I was so scared and nervous, I couldn't admit my true feelings. I just couldn't admit anything. They rarely, if ever, try to look at it from another point of view, a psychological point of view. I like the idea that Sonic would avoid Amy because she looked more like his sister than nervousness. Because that would be an interesting angle to look up. I mean, this would also ask a question. Would he be protecting her if, say, he thought that every time he saved her, he was saving his little sister, his older sister? If protecting her, he thought she was going to be protecting his sister in a way? Was this to make up for his own, what he feels like it was his own past failings? I like this approach because it's a way to look at Sonic that, not very many people take care of. After all, a lot of times, if they want to break in an OC, it's usually either a little brother, twin brother, or it's a lost family member, say like a lost uncle. Oh, and I find it clever that Harley was dressed up like Scourge, only with tattoos. Makes me kind of wish that instead of being a blue hedgehog with all those tattoos, he was in fact green with pointed teeth. And there were scars across his chest, so he could look like Scourge, and Sonic would always have memories every time he fought Scourge. Sadly, this is supposed to be video game continuity, so I can't really do that. The emotions felt real, and I gotta admit, I did cheer up a little. Then again, it's a good little sibling story, so I always tear up during these. I also didn't feel like anything was forced on me, and I also feel like, in spite of this being only 2,000 words, it did a good job of portraying the emotions properly, and was able to put us on the right track to give us a good tearjerker. So all in all, another great story from Ed Harmonic, who's quickly becoming another favorite author of mine in the Sonic fandom. See, fellow MSTers of MST 15K, there are good Sonic fanfics out there. It's just that everybody keeps talking about all the crap that nobody really seems to want to talk about. Of course, that's what I prefer to do on this show. To support the really cool stuff instead of the crap. Thus, that was one down, thousands more to go. See ya next time!